Day class. Today we are beginning our series on educational technology, and we're starting with the concept of educational technology. What is educational technology? As you can see, there are two words in the concept of educational technology. There's educational and there's technology. And if I ask, what is educational technology? What comes into your mind? I remember when I first left school, a lot of people would say, you studied audiovisual. I tell them, no, I didn't study audiovisual, I studied educational technology, but they keep insisting. No problem, we have audiovisual. Even though audiovisual is not synonymous to educational technology, whenever we're dealing with educational technology, the concept of audiovisual usually crops up because it's part of it. And then another word that keeps coming up is instructional technology. Instructional technology, educational technology, audiovisuals, they are part of the same circle, but they are not exactly the same. If we have a big circle, and this is the circle, this circle will be educational technology, and audiovisuals will be here somewhere. Short form of audiovisual is AV. Then we probably have instructional technology somewhere here. And the big circle will be what? Educational technology. So in dealing with educational technology, these two concepts are surely going to come up. As we go on, we'll get to see their differences. But for now, let's concentrate on, we have two words there. Educational, we have technology. And when we say something is educational, what does it mean? It pertains to education. So we'll start with education. What is education? Many people have their views on what education is based on their understanding. But some of those views are not exactly correct, and there are a lot of them that are correct. But in asking students about what education is, sometimes I hear that is everything that happens to us from the day we are born to the day we die. And I wonder, what is that definition? So we sneeze, is that education? We cough, is that education? So please, let's remove that definition from our head of being everything that happens to us from the day we are born to the day we die, because there are a lot of things that go on that are not education. Then looking at the definition also, a lot of people equate education to school. A lot of people equate education to school. Is education exactly the same thing as school? Of course not. Before schools came, in our traditional societies, there was education. Were they not having an education? People were learning how to farm, learning how to fish. Were they not having an education? So please, let's remove the concept of school from our definition of education, because education goes just beyond schooling. Then we have generation to generation. Some people will tell you education is what happens, people given their experiences from generation to generation. And in talking about generation to generation, they are actually referring to people older teaching people younger. At times you teach somebody that is older than you. At times you teach somebody that is younger than you. So it doesn't have to be generation to generation. We do a lot of teaching, learning from people that we are younger than. When I first learned to use the computer, I was taught by my 9-year-old niece. Because she's younger than me, did I not learn from her? That is education. Then there are a lot of other concepts. Learning to impart. Usually hear the word impart in the definition of education. We hear inculcate. What do those two words mean? To instill. They mean to instill knowledge in somebody. But in education, do we actually instill knowledge on people? Are we putting the knowledge in them? Of course not. So we are not instilling knowledge. And then we also hear the word transfer. When you transfer something, you're moving something from one place to another. That means from where you're moving it, there's actually nothing left. So if we're as teachers, if we're transferring knowledge, that means there's no knowledge in our heads again. We've given it to our learners. Of course, that's not what happens. And then we have transmit. Transmit means we're giving out knowledge. Is the process of education all about just giving out knowledge? No. So as much as possible, I will advise us in our definition of education to look for definitions that do not have these words. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There might be a few other words not captured, but these words, we should try to avoid them. So what is education? Like I said, there are many good definitions. But before we go on to definition, we should remember the words from which the two Latin words and educare. Well, I might not be pronouncing them rightly. Of course, you know I'm not Latin. So educare means to lead out. To draw out. Or to bring out. So it's a Latin word that means to lead out, to draw out, or to bring out. And what does it mean to lead out something? For you to lead out something means that there is something already there. Like before this time, people say, I'm going to draw water from the well. How do you draw water from the well? It's presumed that there's already water in the well for you to draw out. So if we have these words, that means we are saying that the concept of education means that we are bringing out something from the learner. And that supersedes the view we've had from one of the ancient or older philosophers that said people are born tabula rasa. Tabula rasa means clean slate. Frederick Herbert says human beings are born tabula rasa. That means their minds are clean. They don't have any knowledge, any concept. That whatever they learn is what their parents, siblings, friends, society puts into them. So we make example with two children, twin. The twin usually have exactly the same knowledge. Right now we have a famous twin we can use. The vice chancellor of Uniport is a twin. He's a medical doctor. His twin brother is a judge. Why are they not both medical doctors? Why do they have different knowledge? It tells us that every individual is born with certain innate qualities. Innate quality means natural born qualities. Different individuals have it. So when we do the process of education is to bring out that knowledge that is inbuilt in the learner. Inbuilt in the learner, we all have it different. Sometimes we are aware that we have those knowledge and skills. Sometimes we are not aware that we have it. Like a lot of famous musicians will tell you that they never knew they knew how to sing or dance. One day, one teacher said this and that, they tried it and all that. Let's take the famous singer Beyonce. Her parents sent her to go and learn how to dance. So it was dancing she was doing. When mistakenly a teacher in the school, or Janet or something, heard her singing. And the woman told her parents, don't enroll her in dancing, enroll her in singing. That was how they discovered that she had talent in singing. Like I said, you might not know you have that skill, or you might know you have that skill. That's what process education helps to do. The second word now, when you discover that a child has a skill, what do you do with it? Do we just leave that thing, or like as we do here, we scold the child, stop making noise. The child is supposed to be dancing, he's singing, stop making noise, don't sing. No, we encourage that thing because it's the inner quality. So we are encouraging, what are we doing? We are nourishing. That's what the second word means, to nourish, to bring up, to mold. So we are molding, we are nourishing. So that is what we do. When we discover the inner skills of the learner, we give that learner an enabling environment to help him excel. And what does an enabling environment mean? Give him the resources, teachers, skills, people to train him, facilities and all that. Let's make an example with our plants. In primary school, we have dealt with photosynthesis and planting beans and all that. At a particular time when you're learning photosynthesis, they tell you to plant beans. So we carry containers, we put beans in soil, put beans and all that. For most people, that bean plant seed will germinate. Germinating doesn't mean it's going to grow. It can germinate and it dies. And then we start crying, hey, well, this seed didn't germinate when our friend's own is growing. What will make it grow or not beyond the germination stage is good soil, sunlight, and water. If you have good soil, that means the soil has manure, sunlight, and water. Your plant will sprout. So for our learners to sprout, we have to give them that learning environment. The plants have photosynthesis. The human beings is conducive learning environment. You have the facilities, you have the people, you have motivation, encouragement, and all that. So these are the two words from which we got the concept of education. So if we have to literally define education from this word, we can say is the leading out or bringing out of the innate qualities of the individual in order to what? Flourish, and giving him a necessary environment to flourish. The definition of education. Like I said, there are many definitions of education, but there's one I like, and I've been using it for some time. And it says education. So we have this definition of education that says education is the leading out of the inborn powers and potentialities of the individual in the society, and the acquisition of skills, knowledge, competencies necessary for self-realization and solving life's problems. This definition takes the words from which education was gotten into consideration. It's telling us it's the leading out of the inborn powers and potentiality, that is helping to lead out untapped resources. But it also acknowledges something else, that is not every skill we need to survive that we have. That's acquisition of what? Necessary skills and competencies. When you lead it out, what do you do with it? We use it to acquire skills, competencies, knowledge, whatever, and competencies refer to whatever we need in order to survive and to have our self-realization. We have these two words here to solve life's problems and self-realization. I'll start with the aspect of life problem. It gives us reasons why we acquire education. This definition gives us reason why we acquire education. It says to solve life's problems and self-realization. We'll start with the aspect of life's problems before we come to self-realization. What are life's problems? Those things we need to solve, those problems we need to solve, to tackle before we succeed. Eating, food, is life's problems, shelter, clothing, getting a job, and daily living. So what we're dealing here are the issues of daily living, life's problems, things we need to survive daily. Then we have self-realization. What is self-realization? Self-realization is our ultimate desire in life. It refers to that thing that we or others will attain, that we say the person has made it, the person has succeeded. For different people, it's different. You can have 100 people and they have 100 things that make them want to succeed. I have a situation. Somebody told me once that he schooled in England, a Ghanaian schooled in England, and he made a 2-1, second class upper, and he was sad because he was aiming for a first class and he didn't make first class. But his roommate made a pass And pass is like the smallest of the degrees, the degrees that make you pass. In short, this day we don't even have pass again. It's been scrapped. But his roommate had pass, and he celebrated. Two different people, isn't it? Two different self-realization. Why would the man with pass celebrate and the man with 2-1 sad? Because for the man with pass, all he wanted was to complete university education. He said he was the first person in his family to attend university. So, and his family has promised him if he completes it, oh, they are going to give him heaven and earth. So for him, being able to complete it, even if it's the smallest of the past levels, is an achievement. But the other young man has come all the way from Ghana. His community has sponsored him, and he saw it as like a failure because he didn't make first class. So two different people, two different self-realization. And I also make example with our two of our former leaders. Obafemi Awolowo, very popular, did a lot for the Western region, but he had one ultimate desire, which is his own self-realization, if he had gotten it, to rule Nigeria, even if it's for one day. But he didn't. Even though he celebrated all over the world and all over Nigeria because of what he did for his region and for Nigeria, for him, he didn't meet his self-realization. Then we have another young man, General Yakubu Gowon, a military man who never ever thought probably that he would ever lead Nigeria. And then in 1966, there was a coup that ushered him into the leadership of Nigeria. And he ruled Nigeria for the longest amount of time, from July 1966 to February 1975. So he ruled Nigeria for 9 years. But when he was overthrown, he went back to school, to university and all that. And some people went to interview him. Why will the former head of state of the giant of Africa be serving drinks as a school party somewhere in England? And he gave them a simple answer: because he wants capital letters after his name. For him, capital letters means when he writes his name, he wants to see what? PhD. And he went on to attain it. So among the two people, we can say he got to self-realization, and the first person, Awolowo, didn't get his self-realization, even though he's celebrated. So that is the definition of education. And this definition was given by a man called Oshokoya. Oshokoya was or is still probably a lecturer, professor in the University of Ibadan. That is his definition he gave in his book in 1989. And although there are lots of definitions you can use, personally, I have used this definition because I like it. So remember the words to avoid in a definition of education: school, generation to generation, or anywhere they say from elders to younger and all that. Avoid. Impact, avoid. Inculcate, avoid. Transfer, avoid. Transmit, avoid. These 6 words, any definition that has it, avoid. Remember, the channel is Exploring the Field of Education with Dr. Omieibi-Davids. Remember to subscribe, like, and comment. Thank you very much.